Hey, podcast listening people, Connor Doobie here. Hope you're all doing great out there. Make sure you subscribe to the show. We're on all your favorite podcast platforms. And please share this video. If not for you, I guarantee you there's someone else in your network who's going to get great value out of this conversation. I do everything from solo shows. And today I also have an expert guest interview to blow you away, share some strategies that you can bring more deals into your pipeline. And I can't wait to share because he's actually a good homie of mine, Nate Kievman, and the man who, I taught him everything he knows about sales and, marketing and branding. No, Nate's my good homie, and we've had a relationship for a while, and I've been bugging the crap out of him to get him on the show. So I'm super excited that you're here. Nate's CEO and founder at Link Strategies, considered one of the top global executive engagement copywriters in the world. I guess world and I said world twice. So, just double world. You've worked with, leading global thought leaders, some of the largest public and private organizations. And, you're all about how to speak executive, right? Getting executives, high level executives, to actually respond and engage with not only you, but your clients.
That's right.
But your bio's not enough, bro. I mean, we need you to brag a little bit. You've had more than quite a few results over the years in what you do. So talk about that. Like, feel free to I'm giving you permission to brag.
Permission to brag. Okay. All right. I appreciate that.
Bring the heat.
Look, it's a long journey. And in the B2B space, I started off in LinkedIn training and kind of this LinkedIn world, and became one of the world's leading LinkedIn trainers for a few years, and realized very quickly that the market that I like to serve, which was executives, the B2B space, trying to get executives to take action, was at the time, and the belief was, and still is to some degree, all on LinkedIn in the social space. And so we grew that up, and I wrote a book on the platform, and we worked with big companies like Office Depot, Office Max, IBM, like the big guys, a lot of the top thought leaders, authors you probably all know, like there's the John Maxwell's and the Jay Abrahams, and like all the big names out there, and plenty more on top of those guys. And we learned over time that as we built our agency and we built our services, that we were helping our organizations get there, that there was some methodologies and best practices that were pretty much built around email marketing and direct response engagement strategies. And so we pivoted our business from a full service agency to really focused services, directly engaging the market through email, phone calling, and LinkedIn at the time. Over the years, LinkedIn made some rule changes that made it less and less viable for direct engagement, more about personal social networking. That was fine at the professional level, but still wasn't scalable. So we evolved our business over time. Now we work with organizations like BlackRock and IBM and NASDAQ, a lot of thought leaders still, a lot of consulting firms, small businesses, on how to speak executive. Like, how do we write the language that creates engagement? How do you write an email that gets Elon Musk or Tim Cook to respond, and it's 13 paragraphs long, and you're like, no way, not even going to happen. Psychologically, this makes no sense, but it works, right? And so
it's counterintuitive.
Totally counterintuitive.
Some of this stuff with me, I mean,
it's and nobody believes it. Doesn't matter how many times and how much proof we have. They're like, no, can we try a short copy? Like, can we try something? Like, and we always do it. We always let people like kind of get their desires out and test their approach to the market. And but time and time again, what we've proven is that executives have a certain psychology about the way they behave, about the way they engage with the marketplace, and we become best in the world at that. And we're doing it with some of the biggest companies in the world, as I mentioned, and with a lot of the top thought leaders and a lot of small businesses, a lot of like startup consultants, boutique consulting firms, IT service firms, computer software, those sorts of spaces, large equipment dealers, like anyone selling big ticket items, like this approach can work for you. Like, you got to be able to engage the market, speak executive. And then it's not just for B2B, by the way. Like there's B2C companies that have large transaction deals and wholesale accounts. There's individuals, if you're an employee and you want to raise up the ranks and you want to speak executive more powerfully, learn how to do it, and you'll be able to speak the language of your bosses and the executive team and raise in the ranks. Like there's no place where this isn't appropriate. I think the most powerful place is in sales, right? Obviously, because if you can speak executive the most powerful way, you're going to be able to land bigger deals more often, more frequently in a shorter time. So what's better than that?
Yeah, Nate brings, like, you mentioned Elon Musk and Tim Cook, and the reason he brings those examples is he's literally gotten them to respond to, emails he sent out on behalf of clients. How much in sales would you guesstimate, if you don't mind sharing, have you generated, for your clients over the years from your copywriting
Well
skill?
over $1 billion. I mean, a lot of our clients are selling $500,000 to $1 million deals. Our largest client was selling $35 million transactions or services solutions. So, but I think I'd say well over $1 billion, $1.5 billion at this point.
Yeah, I joke in the beginning, but Nate has really been a mentor to me over the years, and I've learned so much. We've been on, conversations together, and has just handed so much knowledge over to me, and it's been complete game changer. And not only, like, it's one thing to be a good marketer, which we talk about a lot on the podcast and educate people on, but you don't go from good to great marketer until you really nail down copywriting skills. It's so undervalued, and especially speaking to executives from a psychological standpoint versus like, this sounds good, this makes sense, maybe I'm speaking to the analytical brain, but are you really speaking to their primal brain initially, and then getting them to like get the right information across in the right way?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where did you learn this from? Like, where did you ultimately learn, copywriting?
Well, I look, a big part of it, I've had lots of great mentors over the years that, I've had fantastic mentors that taught me things about the executive suite. I'm a great observer too, having worked with hundreds and hundreds of executives now at this point and interacting with them and failing, quite honestly, thousands of times. Like what makes them respond? Well, they're not responding to that, so let's try something different. Like, you're getting 12 years of experience of failure as much as success, right? So I think that the biggest thing in marketing is the ability to observe and learn from each observation and become a little bit better incrementally time and time again, right? Because if you're able to do that and you understand the baseline psychology of your buyer, we'll call them executives, right? Whoever they might be, but writing to like a CHRO is different than writing to a CEO. Writing to a CTO is different than writing to a COO, right? They're very different personas. So how you write, what they want to see, are they bullets? Are they not bullets? Is it story? Is it not story? Is it me too? Is it like been there, done that? Like, is it results focused? Is it long? Is it slightly shorter, but still long, right? Like it's like, do you format the language so it's different, so it's short, but it's actually a long email, but it feels short because it can make a decision quick? Like all of those things go into the learnings. And so those are the years and years of testing with copywriting, but there's a structural foundation. And I'll give this as a gift to everybody on this call, is a thing called the 5 psychological triggers. And this is the foundation of everything that we write. And the 5 psychological triggers start with the core 2. The first 2 is trust and credibility. Now, all marketing has to have trust and credibility in play. Consumer-based, non-consumer-based. It's what everybody has to start with. Now, how this is written, how that's used, there's a variety of ways you can show up with trust and credibility. But like a big brand like a BlackRock has it inherently built into the name. They don't need to do as much as, say, a startup consulting firm, right? But a startup consulting firm might say, hey, we work with BlackRock and we work with IBM and we work with Microsoft, right? They do that generic one. Now, that's not enough because everybody says it, because you can't really go to market unless you say something to that effect. An almost better one is if you were there. Like one of our clients was a prior COO of a big consumer brand, right? And he had gone off to do a startup. He had no credibility in the startup at all, except his own background. So you forget the background of the startup and use his background as in place of it, and everybody wants to talk to him, right? And so it's boom, winner right out of the gates. So how trust and credibility shows up is unique to each person. It can be client base, it can be your background, it can be results, it can be a variety of things. You've seen the generic ones as seen on TV, right? Like the like they're kind of manipulated trust and credibilities, but they're out there, right? And they work. In the consumer space, that works. In the B2B space, however, where I put most of my time, is trust and credibility is about the results, the background, the people you work with, or something to that effect, right? The three that matter most, and this is where most people miss, because the three that follow trust and credibility are where most people don't really know how to write. And so first is time, money, and risk, the three pieces. And time, money, and risk are like the foundation blocks. Like an executive will say, hey, that's nice, right? But not give you time. But if you can write in terms of time, money, and risk, now we're talking, right? Now we have the opportunity to talk about how we solve their problems in terms of time, money, and risk. And we can get that into a short, quick snippet that allows them to say, hey, this is worth my time. Now I can write more, right? You get it? I can't write more until they say this is worth my time. And that's the secret, part of the secret. There's a lot more to it, obviously, but that's a big part of the secret sauce for writing and engaging executives and getting them to pay attention in a powerful way and take action on that attention, right? So the hardest thing to get out of an executive is attention, just so we're all clear, right? The most important thing they want to have is insights. So
how are attention and time different? Like, how would you perceive attention and time being different?
Well, attention is theirs, right? How we talk about time is how it relates to the thing that they're doing, the business that they're in, right? So when we talk about time, money, and risk, I'm saying, all right, we'll do the generic one because everybody needs leads, right? Everybody needs new business. So, if you're in that space, like we have to address, like, what's the timeline I can get you leads? How long does it take? Like we can talk about things that are the speed to impact or the speed to revenue or the speed to results or the speed to insight, whatever that might be. That's time. That's a time-based solution. And everybody that's listening to this solves problems in terms of time, money, or risk, one of the three. And the bottom line is that time and risk ultimately play into a money play anyway. You're either making people money or you're saving people money, no matter what you're doing, right? Everybody's doing one of those two things. And even if you're a culture transformation specialist, which we do a lot of work with, that market space, because we love it, is they're still helping generate more revenues from a more engaged workforce. They're saving money from less turnover. They're doing a lot of things that are monetarily driven, right? So the activities that we do in business are always going to be a savings or a generating activity. We just have to understand how what we do articulates to that and articulate that value in a powerful way. So our business and our gift in the market is helping companies figure out how do they articulate that value more powerfully, clearly, in a way that executives can quickly understand it. And then we can either just do that part or we can help them take that to market as well. So,
which I've literally watched you do it, and people are so I mean, they may have even been very successful and in their business for 20 plus years, but they're so close to what they do. Just someone like Nathan to be able to pull that out of your head and get it into a way that's actually going to generate responses is really tricky. You mentioned 5 though. So trust, credibility, time, money, and risk. Those are the 5.
That's the 5. Yeah. Yeah. I think that I'm playing around with some others that I might add on to it, but 5's got a good ring to it. So I might not be able to do that.
Yeah. Odd numbers are good, listicles or whatever, when we start writing some content for you, we've got 5, we can come up with 25, who knows,
Who knows? Yeah.
There's definitely more, but that's definitely some good key framework. And it's surprising to me too. I think the nuances here that people need to consider, and we talked about long form versus short form.
Yeah.
It depends who you're talking to. Because if you're talking to a sales director or someone who's not exactly like a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation or a large entity that you're trying to, do business with, you need to kind of tease a bit in short form to get people responding, I've found a lot of the time. But when it's an executive, like, they just want it all. They want all the information presented in front of them. They want it in a way that makes sense. Otherwise, they're not going to waste their time to like find out more, which is what a lot of marketers are making the mistake of.
Well, remember, in the difference in an executive versus a non-executive is their relationship with time.
Yeah.
Right. And so I believe that you can tease what you called short form out in structures that allow people to make a decision in a short period of time. Like, so we always have the ability to make a decision quick. Like, and the decision isn't, do I want to work with them? The decision is this interesting enough for me to know more? Right. Because what is an executive always good at? Why are they executives? Why is an executive an executive? Because they're great at making decisions, right? I mean, that's how they became an executive. They make good decisions more often than other people make good decisions. And they do that because they've built a framework around their world to find the insights, to understand the implications of those insights, and to understand the options those insights provide to be able to make a good decision off those options. So we have that kind of like three-stage model. Well, the way that we write, we have to be able to give them enough insight and understanding of the implications of those insights that touches their business and then say, hey, we're an option to help you solve that. Would you like to learn more about that? Right. And then here's why. Boom. Right. So because they want to make a decision, they're good at making decisions. So writing long form is actually helpful to the way that they actually think, and it solves a lot of problems for them. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
It is. And one other thing I hear so often now, and we've even kind of experienced a little too, is like, email's dead. Email doesn't work anymore. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, there's no full-blown marketing study that would support that theory. But, like, yes, you're right. Email's always been dead for the last 25, 30 years, right? But somehow, okay, I'm going to ask you, if you're an executive, you can just be like, So I'm on a call with a big group of 200 CEOs and consulting firm owners, and I'm doing a talk much like this, and I say, you guys got to understand, like, the busyness of this market, of this executive market, is they really do two things every day. They're in meetings and they're on their email. I mean, that's really all they're doing. They're not on social. They're not reading content except for maybe when they're in bed, checking something out on their phone, right? That executive suite doesn't have that level of time. Now, they might ask somebody to go do the research. They might have, for their fun time, be recording podcasts like this, right? Because that is a way that they are digesting information now. But content as a whole is a tool that you can use as a supplement in engaging executives through email. But it's hard. Like, there's not a lot of content strategies that can win executives consistently, right? Except for like a podcast of something that they've become passionate about listening to or following. Meaning that, I started my whole theory and my whole career on a whole agency that was built around driving funnel content to grab executives' attention. Guess what? Never worked. I mean, let's say it never worked. Let's not say that, because there's always something works, and there's always the win, right? Like, content's super powerful, and you have to have it. You have to have the brand awareness, because when they do choose to look at you, they're going to go look at your social world and they're going to say, are you worthwhile? Are you valid? Right? But to capture their attention, they spend most of their time, and you can ask any executive, where do you spend most of your time? I did a survey of 900 people. I'm going to come back to that last point in a second. And not people, all executives. And I said to them, where do you guys spend a majority of your time? I gave them 10 options, and 97% of them had the same top three answers, right? The first was in meetings. The second, I'm like at an event or something like that. And the third is I'm on my email. In some order, those three were the top three across the board. Now, okay, so or not an event, I'm on the phone. So I'm on the phone, I'm in a meeting, or I'm on my email. Those three things, that's all I do. So if one of the top three things that executives do every day, right? This is the Google theory, right? The Google theory, have you heard that? Like,
I don't think so.
So the Google theory is, if they don't touch it twice a day or more, then we're not going to do it, right?
Oh.
So like everything Google has, their email platform, all their search, everything, it's like they got multiple times that people are using it on the daily basis. So
I haven't heard that before. That's you're saying in terms of like Google's product development decisions.
Yeah. So if I'm not using it 2 times a day, then that's not something they're going to be a part of, because they're all about traffic, and it makes sense for their business. Right. So, but in our world, right, if we're not going to do marketing in the space in the face of the place of where executives spend a majority of their time, what are we doing? Like, look, is it better to be at an event that they're at and you can speak in front of them? Yeah, that's the best. Like, can I do that? For sure. Do that. If you can do that, do it. Like, it's going to be worthwhile for you. But in terms of cold marketing and not knowing people, being in a space that they are potentially going to see you is probably the best option for you. That's all. That's my approach. Now, there's a bunch of studies and so forth, and I'll share one that we just did, because we had a research. We have a research division in our company, and they said a meeting set up from a phone call. Okay, so let's say if I schedule a meeting from a phone call, there's a 6% likelihood they retain why they set that meeting up by the time the meeting's held. 6%. Okay. There's a 68% likelihood they retain it from an email. 68. Now think about that. Like, that's crazy difference. So the quality of meeting, the reason that they're there, everything from an email, super, super high.
You're saying an SDR calls on them, they schedule a meeting, and every sales executive has experienced that. Like, hey, what brings you here today? Honestly, dude, I don't even remember.
You're right. I don't remember. Right.
Shit. Now I got to go and resell them. And they're like, oh, I'm not interested in that. Okay. Well,
yeah. Now it's a worthless.
So that's the beauty of email is it's there. The information's there. It's more retained. Email deliverability has been, I think, even a bigger issue, and has caused a lot of people to move away from email and into social platforms and, more aggressively and whatnot. Not say everyone's doing a little bit of everything, or ads even.
Sure.
How do you get around that? How do you fix that if I'm a CMO listening to this?
Look, the deliverability is an art. We are probably best in the world at deliverability. I don't know that there could be anybody that knows more about it than our company. Maybe there is, but maybe the email providers themselves know more, but because they have the algorithms, right? But in terms of deliverability, we're averaging right now 37 to 48% open rate, right? We're averaging rates that are unheard of. But between January and just last month, there was some kind of AI rollout of, I don't know what it was, but it just crushed everybody in the world in terms of open rates and deliverability. So something happened in the email deliverability world where people you'd have 98% of your emails go to spam, right? It just was like crazy. So obviously it's our business. So one of our cornerstones of our three pillars of our business. So we had to figure out what was going on, and we did finally, and we've cracked the code, but it took us until this month. It took us 6 months to sort out what was going on and how to fix it. Right. So, is it worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. If if everybody else runs away and we're still there, great. That's a good place to be. Right. Because we're getting still in the inbox, but it's a hard thing. Like, I think that there's a lot of tools and resources for deliverability. It takes a long lesson. Like, I'm happy to consult firms that want to know more about that and help about in that area. But, probably too short a time in this to get into all the details of it, honestly. But look, variability, uniqueness of message, it's hyper customization at scales the future, right? That's what it is. Hyper customization at scale is the future of email marketing. If you can't do that, don't do it. Bottom line, don't do it, because you'll have to figure out another way, and it might be more expensive. It probably will be more expensive. But I don't think the cost of email marketing is going down. I think it's going to increase because the deliverability is harder, right? The noise is always louder. The niche needs to be tighter. The personalization needs to be greater. Like, those things are expensive. That's not less expensive. And the control of voice, does that make sense? Like, the management of your voice to the market can't be done kind of half-assed. You know what I mean? Like
Or overly
it can't be done.
automated.
Can't be automated, and it can't be
Yeah.
done by a rookie. Like it has to be done by a sophisticated marketing linguist that understands language and understands how to speak executive. If you don't do that and you are marketing to executives, then you'll have moderate to below moderate results, right? So and then here's the other thing. You can have success for 2 months. Almost anybody can. It's not the first 2 months. It's the sustainability after that. As soon as whatever you're putting to market is seen, the system recognizes it and shuts you down. It's pretty miraculous how fast it does it too. So, and we noticed the trends over the last years. So the go-to-market strategies, and then there's another big risk to the email marketing world, and I think a lot of people know this, but the GDPR European laws are socializing globally, and California is starting to adopt it. Australia has adopted it. Germany's already had it. Canada's had a version of it. Like you cannot email there unless you want to put your business at risk and lose.
Yeah, everything. That means no email whatsoever. Like even if it's
none,
I sat there and wrote it myself. Like what's going to happen? Like how the heck are you supposed to do business? Like how are you supposed to get someone sitting there needs you, wants you, and you're just right on the other side of an email, but regulations.
Yeah, the regulations are, we can do email throughout Europe. There's just certain countries you just can't, like, it's just not worth the risk, right? Germany, Australia, Canada, not worth the risk. Everywhere else, for the most part, there's a couple others that are kind of on the fence, but for the most part, don't do those. We're watching California close because California is trying to be more like Canada, which is scary, which would basically shut down their commerce. I mean, I don't know why they would do that, but
why am I not surprised California would implement something like that? Not saying anything. I'm not saying anything.
No, I'm from there. I know. I'm
hyper regulated, but and Nate's kind of, like teasing that's part of the technology is really important because it links strategies. You guys use your own proprietary technology that you've, put a lot of investment into and developed, and you're not a tech business. I mean, you are really like a service business in a way,
look,
right?
We're 18 months away from actually releasing our tech as an enterprise solution people can use. It's an ABM marketing platform, not available to the market today, but a little teaser for everybody, right? We want people to be able to connect with their market and do it in a powerful way and be, confident that they're safe in doing.
I can't wait to beta test it for you.
Yeah, I'm honored. You will, for sure.
I'm honored that you asked me. And one thing too, just learning in you and the way you do business, like, one thing that I've learned from you, especially, like, you're so confident in the results that you produce for your clients. I mean, you literally take a risk out of the equation for them. Like you mitigate risk for anyone who works for you. You're not the cheapest, but that's for good reason. But you even attach yourself to the outcome. Yeah. And, it's rare to find companies that do what you do that, do revenue share also, which is really impressive. I've actually applied, a lot of that in the risk mitigation, even to like what we do. It's been a game changer. Like we'll literally give you your money back if the relationship doesn't end up working out. And it's been phenomenal. And just getting over that barrier of trust to get, people to work with us. Cause when they're in the door, they're in the door. I think more companies are going to, kind of putting the entrepreneur hat on now for entrepreneurial listeners is you're going to have to find a way to really mitigate risk for people. People don't respect contracts anymore, agreements, like it's out the door. And people are even more skeptical of working with vendors than like ever before.
There's a lot of reason for it, right? It's a complex business world, and there's a lot of people that are, say they can do things that don't. So, just if we don't know you, like we haven't spoken on a stage and been blessed by the third party authority that was called the event host, right? Like we have to find some way to build a relationship. And I think that it's only common and fair that you have some kind of risk mitigation strategy. This is 101 Jay Abraham work from back in the day, right? Which is How do you mitigate the risk or remove the risk from the issue of us working together? But it's a two-way street, right? It's a two-way street. It's like, I'm not going to take off all the risk on my side and just do free marketing for you until you figure out how to close.
Yeah.
So that's not how the game works, right? Like the game and what we do is you got to get the meeting, you got to sell the meeting, right? Those are the two parts to the equation. Guess what? Most people are not very good at. They're not very good at selling. They're not. So we train on it. We'll coach you how to handle those calls. We'll take upside with you for winning in exchange for our sales support. We'll get you the meeting. We'll guarantee the number of meetings, and we'll give you the strategy on how to increase your prices and articulate your value more powerfully on the front end. So for those that are more entrepreneurial, I want you guys to really understand how this works. Product, marketing, and sales, they should never be siloed. They have to have this interchange of communication between them all that is constantly feeding to one another to constantly and never-endingly improve. The Can I model by Tony Robbins, right? So that can I approach, that never-ending improvement, is a constant feedback loop. You cannot fail if you follow that process. But that means that your product needs to be willing to innovate to what the market's asking for. Marketing needs to communicate it more powerfully and more valuably, and sales needs to be able to listen to the market and feed that back to both departments, right? And then sell what's valuable. So that's what we really do. We try to bring those three out of silos and into an integrated platform and structure, and then take them to market with their biggest and largest deal ever. So
it takes a lot of work, but it's just those small things that can just bundle that the right way and in your processes that can just freaking pop you over. You're probably, a lot of people are stagnated right now. They've been at the same revenue level for the last 3, 4, 5 years, or they're just trying to get over that certain hump. And it's just those minor things that are, crucial.
Look, we a little gift for those entrepreneurial types out there that, look, you're trying to grow. First thing is not new customers, like with what we do and help you get. It's actually to increase your prices and add more value. One of the questions I always like to ask myself every December in my strategy is, how can I charge this much more so where my clients are excited to pay me that much more money, right? Like what do I need to add to my repertoire, right? And value, because it's not usually a money issue. It's a value contribution issue in exchange. So I doubled, I grew 100% a year for 4 years straight. And that's the only strategy I used, that one. So hopefully that's helpful.
Charge top dollar. And then you can, that also allows you to deliver so much better and get better results for your clients. And this applies across industry. You could be an MSP, marketing agency, recruiting, you name it. So, and not just entrepreneur, but intrapreneurs too. Like, you guys have to know this if you're driving business growth. Nate, before we wrap, go ahead, buddy. You had something.
I was just going to say, just know your market, like be willing to say no.
Yeah.
Like know who is and who is not your market, and be okay with drawing a line there, because otherwise you're going to be constantly chasing your tail in that process, right? Yeah.
It's hardest thing to do sometimes when you're trying to, get deals in the door.
Hey, if I need cash, I'm taking the deal.
Yeah. And it can be a big mistake, but just in wrapping up too. So we talked, we covered the 5 psychological triggers. You have a lot of great information around that too. And obviously you got to go follow Nate on, connect with Nate and check out the website, had it up here, but anything just else actionable people can take away, maybe implement or just really marinate on in wrapping up here.
I think the 2 biggest pieces of advice I ever give are, one is mentorship, right? Know where you want to go and find mentors in that space that have already been there, and surround yourself with those mentors. But 2, in terms of what we do, one of the things we do in our service side of our practice is we have our clients interview their clients, right? And we listen in and we give them a set of questions. We say, what was going on in your business before you hired me? Why did you consider hiring me? And then what were the results that you've felt you've gotten since you've hired me? And then go 3 layers deep with each of those questions. Mind-blowing insight you'll get, right? I didn't know I had 4 different markets when I did this. And then I knew after, and my marketing got better and I could write more specifically to that, right? This is a really, really powerful exercise. And then I had some really good advice from a world-renowned billionaire that everybody knows. And he said, if you're going to go with a new product to market, make sure that you have 3 companies that you've given it to in exchange for referrals and their case study or result, right? So if you're trying to get a new product to market, a new offering, whatever it is, you've got to have some good stories behind it. You've got to have vetted it. You've got to get the referral engine started through that methodology. 2 good little kickstarters for me. I don't know what market's listening to you here, Connor, but that's a little bit for everybody. The first one we do with the biggest companies in the world and the smallest, so make sure you do that so we know who we're talking to. You got to know who you're talking to be able to write and get more of them.
In the new product, just to clarify on that, you're saying if you're bringing a new product to market, getting referrals on that? Like what did you mean by that exactly?
So to get a new product to market or a new offering or anything that you're trying to innovate on, right? Like for us, it's not even a new product. It's like a new add-on to our service. We're going to give that add-on to 3 clients in exchange for their testimonial, their case study, the referral promise in exchange for that instead of money. Now, if you can't do it, then you can still charge for it, but still ask for those things and just give them at a discount or whatever it is. But you got to get the 3 under the belt, right? The 3 are gonna lift you up, and you're gonna be able to use those to exponentially grow. So that's what I was referring to.
Yep. Another thing I stole from you. We started doing that for our clients, doing it for us, literally taking those testimonials too and turning that into content to
Huge.
to use. And so, dude, I can't thank you enough. I'm super grateful for you, just, as a mentor, coach, friend, expert. Best place for people to find you, follow you, get in contact with you.
Yeah, at linkstrategies.com. You can email me at natek@linkstrategies.com. I'm always available to if appropriate, jump on or introduce you to somebody on my team that can help. And connect with me on LinkedIn. If it's a little hard, I'm kind of maxed out there, but I don't do a whole lot of other social platforms. So engage me on a message there or pop me an email. Best way.
You can still follow Nate, which actually we got to get your profile converted to the influencer, the new influencer version now, so we can start get building those followers out, baby. Yeah, man. So
right.
Nate, stick around one quick second while we wrap up here for me. And for the rest of you, I am super grateful for you tuning in. Make sure you check out the podcast on all your favorite apps. Please subscribe. We've got lots of great content. This is free, completely free information for you and relationships that I've invested into that I'm bringing to you at no cost. So do me a tiny favor, subscribe for more. Much love to you, and I will see you on the other side.
Yeah.